Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Frontline Football. Today, I'm being joined by my special guest, the Trophy, since I won this week. Trophy took a week off last week because we just wanted to do the John Madden tribute intro, so that's why it's back. So that's why it wasn't here. It's back now. But let me get into my intro. I gotta tell you the story of Antonio Brown. I was watching the game live, like I do every Sunday, doing my thing, and I was watching Tom Brady calling a play call. Probably thought he was gonna cook our secondary at some point. And I see this guy in the background. This guy was shirtless. I didn't think he had any shoes on, and it was kind of cold, so it was weird that he was running around shirtless on the field. So I just thought he was a regular streaker, but then it zoomed in, and I realized it was Antonio Brown running around shirtless, throwing his clothes at the Jets fans. So I thought to myself, what the heck? So I was pretty confused. And then I realized that Braxton Berrios ruined Antonio Brown's life whenever he decided to single-handedly carry the Jets receiving corps for the most part. So Antonio Brown decided to run off in fear. But then it turned out that's not what happened. And Antonio Brown just lost his mind, I guess? I don't know. But it was kind of cool to see live. It's like art. But anyway, welcome back to Frontline Football. Let's roll the intro.
I'm Zach. Yo.
Yeah.
Alright, welcome guys. I'm Zach. I'm going to start off with the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Denver Broncos. I'm going to hand this one off to Jack.
I'm going to go with the Chiefs. The Chiefs have something to fight for here. They have a number one seed they could potentially get back after Jamar Chase decided to eat them for no reason and get 260 yards and 3 touchdowns. But they played a pretty good game offensively. They got to get a lot better on defense. But ultimately, no Teddy Bridgewater for Denver. Both their running backs are pretty injured at this point, just playing through it. And you know my rule. I'll never pick the Broncos for the rest of the year unless they were playing an obvious W. And this is not an obvious W. So I think the Chiefs are going to go right into Denver and destroy Drew Lock. Once again, give me the Chiefs here. What are your thoughts, Josh?
Well, I gotta go with the Kansas City Chiefs here. Like you said, they are fighting for the first seed. It is on two opposite days, so they're fighting with the Titans. And because of their little stumble last week against Cincinnati, I predicted that. And Jamar just being, Jamar, and their corners being a little bit too handsy in the end zone, they lost the game. So now they're having to play catch up and relying on the Texans. That's like gambling your money that the Jets will win the Super Bowl every year. It doesn't work. It may work one year, but it won't work every other year. Okay? So, good luck, Chiefs. I'm going to give you this win so then we can make the Texans-Titans interesting. Zach?
Chiefs, they're playing for something, and the Broncos are kind of bad. I understand that they beat the bad teams, but this Chiefs team we thought was bad. But we're very wrong about that. But they are still fighting, and I believe that they're going to get a win. Going white hot. I understand they had a little stumble against the Bengals, but that's the Bengals. They're going to see them in playoffs. I believe that they're going to go in with a win, so then they look better. We'll see what happens with that Titans matchup with us. All right, our next matchup is the Dallas Cowboys versus the Philadelphia Eagles. We're going to be flip-flopping from AFC to NFC every single time, and I'm going to hand this one off to Josh.
Okay, well, I'm going to have to say the Philadelphia Eagles because I believe in the Eagles more than I do the Cowboys. The Cowboys have had a bit of a stumble, especially losing to Arizona. And they haven't beaten a 10-win team all year. So I think that the Eagles are going to win this game. They're going to pull off the upset. So give me the Eagles here. Jack?
I am going to lean Cowboys here. I really think the game is meaningless to both sides. Dallas, there's no path to get a bye week, so that's out of the picture. And when it comes to the Eagles, they've already clinched the playoffs, and there's no path to the NFC East. So I have a feeling you're going to see a lot of backups. It's either going to be very limited reps for Hurts and Dak, or 0 if they decide to go in that direction, like a couple other teams are going to do. But ultimately, I trust the Cowboys' depth a little bit better right now than the Eagles. I think they're talented. I think even if they do completely rest Zeke, Tony Pollard's very good. I think he could single-handedly help move the offense. I think a lot of the Eagles, they're an older team specifically on their defensive line and offensive line. So I expect those guys to get some rest for a couple quarters. Maybe they play half the game. Maybe they don't play at all. But ultimately, don't expect much from this game. It's on the Saturday, but I expect pretty much nothing. It's going to be a lot of backups. I doubt that either team starts because there's not a lot of stakes. But I'll take the Cowboys here because I like their depth slightly better than I do the Eagles. What are your thoughts, Zach?
It's a hard matchup. I'm gonna go with the Cowboys too. The thing is, this is a teams both have clinched. It does not matter either way. If the Cowboys win, the only way the Cowboys can boost up their seeding, I believe that the Rams, they can boost up to no, it's the Buccaneers have to lose. They boost up one seeding. And that doesn't really matter. That's the third seed. And if they want to get the second seed, which really doesn't matter, they need the Cardinals, the Panthers, and the Rams to all lose to get that second seed. Now, that does not matter at all. They're going to get home field advantage anyway. And it doesn't really matter to have most of these home field advantages because you're going to get you're probably going to meet up with the Packers in the conference championships. So what if you have home field advantage for 2 games? That does not matter. It's not going to matter, so we're going to go with the Dallas Cowboys. Next matchup also probably won't matter, but it's fine. It's the Bengals versus the Browns. I'm going to hand this one off to Jack.
This one's close because I don't know what's happening with either of these sides. I'm going to lean Browns, actually, even if that's kind of an upset the way they've been playing. I think the Browns, they're playing for pride, I guess. The Bengals already agreed that Joe Burrow's going to sit. Half their defense is on the COVID list. I wouldn't say half, but some big players are, like Jesse Bates, the safety, and a couple others. Plus, I think the Browns, Nick Chubb, even with Case Keenum, I don't think that's that much of a downgrade, to be honest, from Baker Mayfield, the way Baker Mayfield's been playing the last month or so. I think it will be close, pretty boring with no Burrow, and that means a limited Chase and T. Higgins potentially. But I'll lean Browns here. They'll get a meaningless pride win to close out their season with a little bit of happiness after a pretty much disastrous season compared to the expectations that were laid out pretty early. Give me the Browns. What are your thoughts, Zach?
I also have the Browns. Even though Baker has become a shell of himself, I still believe that he can play good football against a bunch of backups. It's like being back in college, except, yeah. So, yeah, this Browns team kind of went nowhere this season. It's kind of a, not past expectations, especially because we expected the Browns to be a playoff team. Injuries kind of messed them up. Oh, losing OBJ, I understand that he wasn't too big of a star there, but he still helped a lot. This Browns team has just been kind of disappointing this year, and I just believe that they're going to just end on a high note with a win. Josh?
Well, I have to go with the Browns here also because you got to remember for these losing teams, this is an audition for next year of who they're going to keep, and this could lead to some crucial cuts in the offseason. So I feel like the Browns are going to be playing their starters, so their starters are going to be whatever Cincinnati throws for their backups. So give me the Cleveland Browns here.
All right, our next matchup, Jack will be taking it over. It's Washington Football Team versus New York Giants. Jack.
I'm taking Washington here. You know why? Because I'm not the biggest Giants fan, to be honest. They have been pretty ugly, specifically this stretch since Jason Garrett and Daniel Jones went out. Jason Garrett was probably justified of going out, but still, Daniel Jones also went out with a season-ending neck surgery. So it's going to be more Mike Glennon and Jake Fromm? That was his name. And overall, these guys can't score points at all. I mean, they got destroyed by the Bears, which is disappointing in itself. Not to mention, it's just been a bad season all around. I don't trust anyone. Saquon had a pretty good game, but still, they didn't even score a touchdown. Washington, well, I also think they're both pretty awful. Washington was kind of in that Eagles game for the most part. They only lost 16-20, and that's slightly better than the Giants. So I'll give the Washington football team the edge here in this toilet bowl win. Give me Washington. What are your thoughts, Josh?
Well, I have to go also with the Washington football team. I think that they are just a better team, especially when you're starting Mike Glennon at quarterback. So I'm going to choose football team here. Zach, am I frozen?
I'm back. I have the Washington football team beating them. Washington has a better star listing, especially with their defensive side. Yeah, and I just believe in Washington more. Like Jack said, a little bit. I heard a little bit of his take before. My Wi-Fi just didn't want to feel like working anymore. They have been very bad, especially in this coming month. So yeah, I have the Washington football team. I believe that they have a better team. Very disappointing season by both of them. But let's go on to our next matchup, which Josh will be taking over. It's the Colts and the Jags. This has a big playoff impact because if the Colts win, they lock up their playoff spot. If they lose, other teams can take their playoff spot away. Josh?
I gotta go with the Indianapolis Colts here. Even though they haven't won Jacksonville since 2014, I think that this year will be the year, especially with how weak Jacksonville is looking. I think that Carson Wentz and JT will do a clinic on them, and they'll probably be benched after the third quarter. So give me the Colts here. Zach?
Also have the Indianapolis Colts beating them because the Colts just have a very good team. I understand they haven't won in Jacksonville in forever. They're gonna break this curse this week. So give me the Indianapolis Colts. Jack?
I have to take the Colts here. I can't trust the Jags. I can't remember the last time they won was that weird Buffalo game where they won 6-9. They don't really do anything well. They've got linemen at receivers. They got an interim head coach. They got pretty bad offensive line for the most part, and they just got smoked in New England 50-12 or something ridiculous. So even though with all that streaks here, I think Jonathan Taylor, Carson Wentz, T.Y. Hilton, I think their offense is just going to explode all over the Jags. The Jags aren't going to have any response as usual, and they're going to finish the year 2-15, securing the number 1 overall pick.
Okay. All right. I have the next matchup, which is going to be Green Bay Packers versus the Detroit Lions. Doesn't matter. I'm going to hand this one off to Josh.
Lions. Lions are playing starters. Packers are playing backups. That's it. Jack?
This one's close. I'll go with Josh. I'll also go with the Lions here. Amon St. Brown has been a very pleasant surprise down the stretch for them. Started out slow but woke up. He's been on a hot streak. Very good for the people in the fantasy world. And overall, I think the Packers, I don't know if they're going to start anyone. I think Aaron Jones is going to be very limited. I bet everything that Aaron Rodgers just isn't even going to touch the field with his foot issue. Devontae Adams, I don't think he's hurt, but I think they're also going to take precaution with him. Ultimately, everyone's taking precaution. Jair Alexander just came off of IR 2 weeks ago. They're not going to take any risks now that this number 1 seed's locked up. The Smith bros are also a little banged up. I think there's no risk there either. Ultimately, there's just not going to be any starters for the Packers in, I bet, or at least for most of the game. So I'm going to take the Lions here. What are your thoughts, Zach?
I also have the Lions here. Packers are going to start nobody. If the Packers can win against Detroit, this will show how impressive their depth is, but it's not really looking for anything. This is Detroit number 1. This is like a college team. 2, I understand the Cardinals beat them, but still. Packers, I don't believe that they're going to be able to beat the Colts, especially with their team that they're going in with. Jordan Love is not an Aaron Rodgers type. I can just completely ball out against him. But if they win, that will shock me. Our next matchup is the Pittsburgh Steelers versus Baltimore Ravens. Jack?
I'm going to go Steelers. I'm so done with the Ravens at this point. Lamar did not practice again today. This is Wednesday, to put it in perspective, since this video comes out Saturday or Sunday. And the Steelers, they're playing for a little more. The Ravens, they hang with their opponents for the most part, but TJ Watt's trying to break the all-time sack record this week, which would be a big deal. I think he's going to do it. He's going to get Defensive Player of the Year. Steelers are going to go 9-7-1 and ultimately still miss the playoffs because the Colts are going to get it done. Steelers will win here in a competitive game, as these rivalry always is. Give me the Steelers. What are your thoughts, Zach?
I have the Steelers also. I understand that if you're looking at it, me and Jack were choosing the same, but these matchups are kind of straightforward. But you're about to see some different stuff from me and Jack probably soon. But yeah, the Steelers are fighting for something. Ravens are not. Ravens were very disappointing after the Dolphins game, and the Steelers, well, they haven't been good either. But uh, they got here somehow, and if say the Colts lose, and I believe another thing has to happen for them to make it to the playoffs. Or it's just the Colts have to lose. Then they will make playoffs. But right now, the Steelers, if all of our predictions are right, won't be making the playoffs anytime soon. All right, Josh.
I'm gonna go with the Ravens here, even if they aren't starting Lamar Jackson. I think that the Steelers' hope needs to end right here, and I think that the Ravens will be the ones to do it. Will it be a pretty game? No, but it will get the job done, and the Ravens will miss the playoffs.
Our next matchup is the Minnesota Vikings versus the Chicago Bears. Check.
I'll go Vikings by a tad. I don't love picking the Vikings in anything because what they do to me. But I think ultimately this will be their coming out party. Kirk Cousins is coming off of COVID. They got nothing to lose. Justin Jefferson gets a couple big catches. The Bears, well, they beat the Giants. I think the Giants are arguably on Jacksonville's level. Not record-wise, but I think they are right there for being the worst team in football, especially these last couple weeks. So I'm going to take the Vikings here. They're going to get one last win. Then Zimmer's finally going to be fired, hopefully, and they're going to end the season off a disappointing 8-9. What are your thoughts, Josh?
I have to go with the Minnesota Vikings here. They just look a little bit better than the what's their names? Chicago Bears do, and this is the game that's really gonna put the dagger in the heart for Nagy's coaching career. So that's what I'm gonna go with. Zach?
Also have Vikings there. Vikings have a really solid team going into this matchup. I understand that they got kicked out of playoffs by the Packers, but it doesn't matter that they can still get a good win against the Bears. Now I can see a Bears win, especially Justin Fields maybe being a starter, and maybe just giving Justin Fields some reps on his division opponent because he will have to face him again next year. Just give him some reps, see how he does, and if this is the end of Matt Nagy, that's great for Justin Fields because maybe his development won't be shot like Trevor Lawrence's, and no one else in that quarterback class is having a shot development class. I was about to say Zach Wilson, but he has Salah, and he's doing really well for them. Our next matchup is the Tennessee Titans versus the Houston Texans. I'm going to go with Josh.
I'm gonna go with the Tennessee Titans here. While I do think that Houston will probably make it close because it is a division game, I think that the Titans have secured the first seed, especially with them playing the Texans. So give me the Houston Texans here. Zach?
I have the Tennessee Titans beating the Houston Texans. Now, this is probably the easiest matchup the Titans will probably have this year, except for against the Jags usually. But other than that, yeah, the Titans are fighting for something. Texans are not. I mean, I understand the Texans are really trying to destroy people's playoff hopes, like they almost did with the Niners, but I don't believe that will happen with the Titans. So give me the Tennessee Titans, Jack.
I also have to go with the Titans. Well, the Texans, I don't think they're a team that you can overlook or underestimate because for some reason they can just trick people into letting their guard down and then they destroy them with the power of Davis Mills. But I don't think the Titans are going to overlook them. The Texans have already beaten them once, I think, this season. Not to mention their King's health is on the line. If they can get this bye week, Derrick Henry can get that last week of rest he needs, and his legs will be completely fresh and ready to go for playoff time. Julio can get some rest since he also got a little banged up. Maybe he can finally unlock the second gear we've been waiting for him to do in Tennessee the entire season. It's going to be interesting. I'm going to go with the Titans here. This feels very important for them. This could change the playoff picture a lot. Derrick Henry, with that bye week, that could be the difference between him being at 90% to like 98%. So it's a big game. The Titans aren't going to overlook it. They'll get the job done.
All right. Our next matchup is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Carolina Panthers. Josh.
I have the Tampa Bay Bucks winning here. Even though they've already clinched, I think that their backups are probably better than the Panthers as a whole, especially with that quarterback carousel. That already makes it seem like the Panthers are playing their backup. So give me the Bucks here, Jack.
I'm also going with the Bucks. The Panthers, they're weird. They started out 3-0. They're 5-11, 5-12 now. That's not really ideal. I understand that Brady's got a lot of hobbled up people, but I don't really think it will matter. I think they can run the ball on the Panthers potentially with Ronald Jones. I think they can do enough to get the job done just because the Panthers, I don't know what's happening over there. It's ugly, but luckily for the most part, Tampa's defense has been able to avoid the weird injuries that Tampa's offenses run into. So I think the Tampa defense will take care of business here. Brady will do just enough to finish the job and beat the Panthers. Even if Blaine Gabbert plays, that's kind of a hot take. But even if they bench Brady halfway through, I still think Blaine Gabbert can beat the Panthers here. I'll take the Bucks either way.
Yeah, I have to take the Bucks also. I mean, this Bucks team isn't really fighting for anything. They can't really move up in seeding except for the second seed. So none of these NFC teams should really be trying to move up these seedings because home field advantage or not, these teams are gonna have to play 3 more games or 4 more if they 4 more games until the Super Bowl. And I'm gonna say this later times for our playoff video, but I don't believe that this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team will make the Super Bowl. They have way too many injuries. This is a great time to rest your starters, especially because of those injuries. And I understand Chris Godwin's not going to come back. If you guys lose to the Panthers, I believe that you guys should re-sign AB. I understand that there's a 3-star policy, and he should have never done that. But it might be a little concerning if you guys are losing to the Panthers. So, yeah. All right, our next matchup is the New York Jets versus the Buffalo Bills. Jack.
I have to go with the Bills here. Unfortunately, as much as I'd love to pick the Jets in an upset kind of win, I think the Bills there's too much on the line here. They can't afford to drop the division to New England. Even though it wouldn't necessarily change the implication of the wild card game. They're playing each other either way, pending some weird matchups. I just think they still want to get the AFC East champs and not give it back to the dynasty. I think they'll do enough to get the win. Even though, to the Jets' credit, these last couple weeks they've been playing a lot better football, led by the great Braxton Berrios for some reason. They also get Elijah Moore back, I think, and Jamison Crowder is definitely going to be back. Michael Carter could also make his return, so Jets will get some offense back, so I think they could potentially remain competitive. That's probably the expectation here, but I still think Buffalo wants the crown for the second year in a row. I think they'll win it, get the job done, and win the AFC East. What are your thoughts, Zach?
I probably also have to go with Bills here. This Bills team is very solid, and they are not letting this New York Jets team just beat them. They are trying to win for pride, and I understand they won the division. This really does not matter. These two matchups with the Patriots and the Bills, it's just for the fans to get a conference shirt, or not conference, a division shirt. That's it. Which fan base is going to get a division shirt and which one's not? Because they're going to face each other anyway in the playoffs. So what does it matter? So yeah, I have the Bills still winning this matchup, which makes them clinch the division. Josh?
I have the Bills win, but you also have to remember that there's home field advantage going with the 4 and 5 seed. So give me the Bills here. I think that they are going to win this matchup and become AFC East division champs.
All right, our next matchup is the Arizona Cardinals versus the Seattle Seahawks, and I am going to take this one over. I am saying the Seattle Seahawks are going to beat the Arizona Cardinals here. Yes, I have said it because there is one stat line that I will never forget and I will probably always hate. Arizona Cardinals and the Seattle Seahawks, no matter what, will always split. They will never, them will never sweep the Legion of Boom years. Arizona was the only team that mostly beat them because they do that. And now, since these Cardinals are good, and last year it happened, and it's going to happen again, Seattle's going to get their dumb win which will make them the 12th best team in the NFC. Great job, Seattle. Very disappointing on you guys. All right, Jack.
This one's close because the Cardinals and Seattle have that tradition of splitting. But I'm actually going to say that tradition ends this year, and I'm going to take the Arizona Cardinals. I think it's going to be close for the most part. I don't know how serious the Cardinals are going to take it. I guess it depends. The Rams and the Cardinals play at the same time, so they're not going to know necessarily unless something gets out. So it's like Cardinals could theoretically take the division. I'm not sure if they're going to try, or would they much rather just get everyone healthy for the playoffs, or they rather try to make a run at the division. But the issue with that is ultimately if they do get the division, it's going to be a lower seed, meaning they're going to end up on the road in the divisional round most likely anyway. So it complicates things, but I'll still lean Cardinals here. I think they'll get the job done and beat Seattle. What are your thoughts, Josh?
I feel like the Cardinals are going to win here. I feel like they're going to be fighting for that division championship because it gives you that first round home field advantage. And they really could have been the first seed this year, but they did have that sputter in the schedule. So I'm going to have to go with the Cardinals here, making up for lost ground.
All right, our next matchup is the New England Patriots versus Miami Dolphins. Jack.
I'm sticking with the Patriots here. I like what they've been doing. I think they're going to think that they could possibly get the division from Buffalo if Braxton Berrios does the impossible. And I like the Dolphins, but ultimately I feel like that was kind of deflating way to end the season. As much as the Dolphins would love to play spoiler to the Patriots, I think that'd be fun. I'm curious how serious New England's going to take this game, because there's a chance they're confident that Buffalo's going to win and not take it very seriously and bench people in the second half. That's what's complicated about the Week 18s. But I think New England will still get the job done just in case they can win the AFC East. On the off chance that the Jets do upset the Bills, I'll take the Patriots here to finish off the Dolphins in Miami. What are your thoughts, Zach?
I have the Miami Dolphins. Now, my take about them getting 10 wins before the season. That's before the season. During the season, after the Ravens win, is now wrong. I understand that. But, hey, some people get it wrong. And I have the Dolphins beating these guys because they are going to be mad how much they lost by the Titans. So I believe that the Patriots will lose to the Dolphins.
I'm going to have to go with the Patriots here. Tua turnover is back, and Mac and Cheese is fighting for the division, and I think that they are going to fight their hardest to try to be AFC East champs.
All right, our next matchup is the New Orleans Saints versus the Atlanta Falcons. Josh.
Give me the Saints. The Saints have actual things happening in this matchup that could result in them winning the division if they win it. So the Saints, this is a must-win for them if they want to keep in the playoff race. Jack?
I'm going to take an upset here in the Falcons. One, just to make it interesting, because these videos, when it comes to the Week 18 matchups, are pretty dry. But two, I also think the Falcons, they have an off chance. Their playoff hopes are over, but that doesn't mean they can't go and ruin the Saints' day necessarily and eliminate them from the playoffs. Well, they've had some issues. They can kind of put up some points whenever they feel like it. It'll depend. I expect big day out of Kyle Pitts. I think the Falcons pull off the upset in Atlanta. What are your thoughts, Zach?
I have the Atlanta Falcons beating the New Orleans Saints. I believe that this Falcons team will get barely to a winning season, but they will not be close because Falcons are like that. And yeah, all right. Our not final matchup, but this is the final matchup for the NFC. It's going to be the San Francisco 49ers versus the LA Rams. I'll be taking this one. I have the Niners beating the Rams here. Now, Rams it does not matter either way. They can have a better seeding, I understand, and home field advantage does matter in some cases. But even with the Buccaneers, they never had a home game until the Super Bowl. I don't believe that home field advantage has such a big role unless your fans are so into the games. Rams fans are not too into the game sometimes. So I believe that the Niners will beat them. They have their number. I believe that they can beat them again. Gosh.
I'm gonna have to go with the Niners here. Like I said, the Cardinals are probably taking the crown that they probably should have gotten weeks before, but they're getting it now. So give me the Niners here. Jack?
I'll also have to go Niners here. I understand that they're not necessarily the favorites or anything, but the Niners own the Rams. They haven't beat them since the Rams haven't beat the Niners since 2018. For whatever reason, Sean McVay just cannot handle what Kyle Shanahan is doing. Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Ayuk, potentially Garoppolo. I think ultimately the Niners will get this done. This is their playoff hopes potentially on the line if the Saints pull off the win against the Falcons. So I'm going to take them here to clinching their playoff berth and punching their ticket into the postseason.
And our final matchup of today, we made this one the most special because it's a win and you're in. There's also a way that we don't like to talk about this way, but they can technically, both teams can make it. And these two teams are the LA Chargers and the Las Vegas Raiders. There is one way that these teams will make it in, and that is if they tie and the Colts lose against the Jags. But we don't want to talk about that. We want to see who wins and who gets in this matchup. And I'm going to hand this one off to Jack to end this off.
In the season finale of the NFL and Frontline Football season predictions, I'm going to do the impossible. Through all the inconsistencies, through all the drama, through all the trouble and chaos that has been this organization, I think they will rise above it and get the upset, getting into their playoff berth, doing the impossible. I'll take the Las Vegas Raiders here. It's a little surprising, but that was one of my first hot takes ever on Frontline Football is the Raiders over the Saints. That was like over a year ago. That was week 2. I think they're going to do a crazy, magical upset here against the Chargers. They're going to do the impossible, and despite half their secondary having some sort of criminal charges against them, John Gruden and all the other shenanigans that is the Raiders, Derek Carr's going to throw for 400 yards, get a bunch of touchdowns, and I think he'll do enough to beat the Chargers, where the Chargers will finish with yet again another disappointing end to their season. What are your thoughts, Josh?
I feel like it's going to be the most Los Angeles thing for them to do here, but I'm also going to go with the Raiders in the season finale. I feel like that'd be the best ending for this regular season. Just the cherry on top of this perfect Sunday of parody. Oh, that sounds nice. I didn't know that sounded that good. But the Raiders are going to win, and it is going to be the most funniest thing ever. And it's going to be close, and it's going to be fun. So make sure you tune in Sunday to NBC to see this game. Zach?
I have the Chargers here. The Chargers have a way better team than this Raiders team. And also, the Chargers have been staying out of the news like the Raiders also have. And I believe that those two factors are going to lead to this win. Talent really shows here, and this is going to be the last matchup of the NFL regular season. And I believe that the Chargers will be able to get the 7th seed. They will barely scratch into the playoffs with a 10-7 record, which is very impressive for this Chargers team that was nowhere close to the playoff last year. And I am very happy. I am very impressed by this Raiders team, especially with all this adversity that they have shown. But I believe that this Chargers team just edges them out in one category, and that is talent. So, yeah. That does it for Frontline Football. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button. If you dislike it, I don't know if they're removing dislikes or not, but dislike the video. If you don't like it, put in the comments below if you have a different prediction, especially that Raiders-Chargers one. That one's a very interesting one, and we want to hear what you guys have to say about that game. And we'll see you in playoffs. Jack, one last thing. Hit the plugs.
As always, don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at FrontlineFB. Right there, links in the description. You know the drill at this point. It is time for the NFL playoffs to start. Next time we'll be meeting in playoff predictions. The drama will be over. We will see if the Raiders can do it, the 49ers, all these people that haven't clinched the bottom of the wild card. And this ultimate season finale comes down to this week. Hope you're watching, but we'll be back next week. See you then.
Yeah.